it's not often that there's two head coach and a sporting director that's hired on the same day in MLS, but that is exactly what happened today. As today we saw both DC United and Inter Miami officially announce their new head coach, as well as Inter Miami officially announced their new sporting director today. And we'll start off with DC United, who today officially announced Hernan Losada as their new head coach of the team. And this is kind of an interesting, but at the same time surprising hiring for DC United, because throughout this 3-month coaching search saga that they seems to be embarked on, we thought they were either going to be going with a American head coach or a coach that at least have some sort of experience in MLS that's going to be taking charge of this team next. And that it wasn't only a couple of days ago when Losada name was actually thrown into the long list of names that potentially is going to be the next head coach of this team, and that just a couple of days later, DC basically just told Losada that congratulations, you won the coaching search sweepstake that we've been trying to do for 3 months, and the key is yours now to take charge of this team starting next season. Now, I've also had to kind of do a little research to see who exactly Hernan Losada is, and it turns out he's a relatively young Argentine head coach, only 38 years old, that's been coaching a couple of seasons in the Belgian league. And I understand that a lot of DC fans are kind of happy the fact that at least for once the front office decided to hire a guy that is relatively unknown, and instead of just hiring kind of a retrend of an American or MLS head coach. But at the same time, I do have to warn DC fans that, again, he is kind of an unknown commodity coming into MLS, and that when we see these kind of foreign unknown head coach coaching in MLS for the very first times, it can either turns out very well, or it can definitely backfire, and that he probably couldn't survive one season because of how bad he is doing in MLS. So time will definitely tell whether or not if Losada is actually the right hire and can guide this team back to playoff contender. And I'm pretty sure the front office are really hoping that he is the right guy, because there's no way in the world you spend 3 months searching for a coach and you found a guy that you literally were rumored just a couple of days ago, and it turns out he was absolutely terrible. I mean, in fact, if this indeed is going to be the case, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of DC fans that's going to be scrutinized the front office again, and that somebody is probably going to be fired in the front office if this hire doesn't turn out to be the way that they think it would come heading into this new season for DC United. Now, talking about Inter Miami, and we're actually going to first talk about their new sporting director, which I don't think this should be a surprising news, although I think probably the most surprising thing about this is that yesterday I mentioned Chris Henderson was close in to reach a deal to become the new GM of Inter Miami. Well, I was kind of surprised that it only took a day for them to officially make the announcement that he is going to be the new GM of Inter Miami, and indeed that, of course, is the case. And that, from what I heard of why exactly he wants to be the new GM of Inter Miami, it seemed like the reason is probably because he wants a new challenge, and that he wants to build Inter Miami to kind of something similar to what the Seattle Sounders was, and that is a regular playoff contender and a regular MLS Cup contender down the line. But obviously for the Seattle Sounders, this is definitely a huge loss, losing probably the best GM in the league. But as for Inter Miami, this is definitely the GM that they've been desperately to try to get, and that, as I said from yesterday, getting Chris Henderson hopefully will stabilize the team a little bit after kind of a disarrayed situation that this team has find themselves in the last couple of weeks, and maybe for once they actually will find a structure and an identity of this team heading into next season. Now, in terms of the new head coaching announcement, remember a couple of weeks ago, or actually last week, I talked about how Phil Neville was potentially going to be the next head coach of Inter Miami. Well, today it is official that he is indeed going to be the next head coach of Inter Miami. And, as much as I did say that this is probably not going to go well, because, Phil Neville has never had any coaching experience in the club level, and that he tends to have a very egoistic kind of mindset, especially toward the media. We will see whether or not if he is going to be the right fit for Inter Miami, and maybe if he does join this team, and maybe he might have a change of personality, and maybe if, as I mentioned, how Chris Henderson is not only going to stabilize this team, but actually build a decent squad for Phil Neville to work with. And as long as Phil Neville was able to kind of bring that same success that he had with the England women's team, which when he was coaching that team, he was also given a lot of talent, and he was able to do relatively well and get that team to the semifinal of the World Cup. I don't think this is going to be as bad of a hire that many people, including myself, would have first thought. But that being said, it can still easily blow up in their face, and that I won't be surprised if Phil Neville could potentially be the first head coach that could be gone heading into next season, and that he's going to definitely be into the hot seat for Inter Miami, because if he turns out to be just an absolute horrendous hiring and started to not get resort, you know that he is definitely going to be under a lot of scrutiny and could potentially end up almost the same fate that his brother Gary Neville did with Valencia a couple of years ago, which is potentially sent packing by the team that just hired him just a couple of months ago. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much the announcement in terms of the two head coach and the sporting director that's been hired today. Again, it is not very often that we have a day where we have this many news that happen around MLS. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of those head coaching hiring and also sporting director hiring? And if you're a DC fans or Inter Miami fans, are you happy with the new head coach that you're getting? And if you're an Inter Miami fans, are you also happy with the new sporting director that you're getting heading into this season? And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of happy Inter Miami fans in terms of the sporting director part, but I'm not so sure in terms of when they announce Phil Neville as their new head coach of this team. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.